What's up, people? Welcome to week 2 of English 1102 Spring 2023. Wow. So, I hope you had a good week getting used to this class. I hope you get acclimated well. I hope that you have downloaded this sheet right here, which is the English 1102 Spring 2022 assignments and due dates. Okay. We've accomplished You should have accomplished these things last week. The welcome quiz, the MLA quiz, the finding sources assignment, the discussion when posed, and read story of an hour. This week, you are going to watch this lecture, which you're currently doing. I'm also posting a lecture on the story of an hour that I want you to watch. Okay, I recorded that lecture a couple years ago, and it's the same one I use all the time. So it might look different, but what I go over, you need to know. All right, so make sure you watch that as well. And then these are the things that you're going to do. Discussion post 2, you're going to read The Adulterous Woman first, and you're going to complete this assignment, which I'm going to go over all right now. Okay, these are the things that I'm going over today in this lecture. Simone de Beauvoir, which is important because you're going to be reading some quotes from her and applying something that she said to the story of an hour. I'm going to go over Sartre's existentialism, which comes into play for The Adulterous Woman. I'm going to talk about parts of a paragraph, so that way you know how for the expectation of good writing. So you can mimic that as you complete these assignments. I'm going to talk about Le Petit Mort and the waiter. Okay, good times. This is our classroom. Make sure you understand how to navigate this. You go to weekly lessons. And if you go under week 2, here you'll find a PDF copy of the PowerPoint that I'm going to be using today. Here's the story of an hour assignment that I want you to complete after watching the lecture. Don't do it until you watch the lecture, okay? The analysis lecture. Here are some quotes from Simone de Beauvoir, who I'm going to go over who she is in a moment. Here's a PDF copy of a comic strip about the waiter, which I'm going to go over some today. This is The Adulterous Woman that you are going to read. All right. Please pardon this interruption. All right, that was the high school announcement that essentially all kids need to be with an adult. All right, and then here is a link to the discussion board for you to be able to post your response. Okay, so everything you need is in week 2. All right, and everything I'm going over in this PowerPoint lecture is meant to help you do well on this week's assignments. Okay, especially this one right here. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna pull up the PowerPoint. Le PowerPoint. The week 2. Oh no. Oh no. Stop. Exit drawing. I hate this little tool. I don't know if y'all can see this little toolbar that is here. There you go. Just move it out of the way. All right, here we go. English 1102, week 2. We're going to talk about existentialism, parts of a paragraph, and integrating quotes into the story of an hour analysis. Okay. And all of this is actually working towards essay 1 as well. All right, so existentialism. What is it? So existentialism is concerned with the existential idea of living. Who am I? What does my life mean? Why do I feel guilty? Why am I afraid? What am I to do? Now, you might be wondering, why am I going over this in a writing course? Good question. This course is about how to write about ideas and what you've read. Okay. Um, it's about presenting your ideas. This course is not about what you think about these ideas. It's about how you communicate about these ideas, about any ideas. Um, and so, like, I could be doing a presentation on the Marxist economy of Bulgaria in 1950. And you could write an essay about that. And really, I'm just grading on your style and how you cite and using sources and all those kind of things. Okay. I have to give you something to write about in order for you to write about a topic. All right. So with that in mind, I'm going over existentialism because the stories that we're reading in part one can be looked at from an existential perspective. And the things that you can talk about can come from this sort of like philosophical perspective, which is important because a lot of the papers that you write will be theoretical papers in your other classes. All right. And so this is just a medium for me to be able to get you to write about an idea that you've been instructed on. Okay. All right. So, but then you also, learn something here and here. Okay. So all this applies to paper one and understand because paper one is about the stories and these ideas help you to understand the stories. Okay. All right. So existentialism is not a specific school of philosophy, but any philosophy that says that meaning and choice uh, as they affect individuals is what is most important. Okay. There's existential theologians such as Dietrich Bonhoeffer and St. Augustine and Kierkegaard. All right, they have a lot of existential ideas in their Christian theology. There are political existentialists about this idea of creating a country and a government that allows people to have access to authentic life and individuality and freedoms. Okay, so this is it's a broad blanketed term. All right, but it's really all about the idea about how we are living to be in a way that is true to who we are as people. Okay. Okay. So then, how does this relate to Le Petit Mort? The Le Petit Mort is sort of an existential um, mechanism or tool. Okay. Um, it is officially refers to a little death. That's what it means in French. You've just died a little. Okay. Um, in the literal meaning, it is a ironic euphemism for an orgasm. Okay. There's a literary usage of it, and then there's the actual. And so the literal understanding of le petit mort is a French phrase referring to an orgasm. So in existentialism, it has a much deeper symbolic meaning. Okay, existentialism rejects the shallowness of the physical world and the physical pleasures. These are seen as false pleasures that only last a moment and then fade. Existentialists are not hedonists who do live for pleasure. Okay. Hedonists live for pleasure. Existentialists live for meaningful existence. Like true pleasure comes from an epiphany, or as a therapist refer to them, breakthroughs. And this idea is that this epiphany that you will have, okay, will help break up and kill this existential dread that you have, which existential dread is found through deep realizations about life that bring about liberation and peace. Okay. So it's like you are living a inauthentic life. Let's say you're Scrooge McDuck and you're obsessed with money, 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 money. And And then you have this epiphany one night where you realize that money's not about you anything but misery, and that giving up your love for money and pursuing relationships is what will bring you joy and happiness. Okay, that's your Le Petit Mort. You had this breakthrough, and that part of you that was obsessed with money has died. A little part of you has died. That part of you that's been keeping you from being able to live an authentic life dies. Okay, so Le Petit Mort is a psychological orgasm that kills that old perspective or understanding that kept people in existential chains. And the idea is that, like, when you realize how to live your life, then now you can have true pleasure, not hedonistic sexual pleasure, but like real pleasure. All right. The orgasm of existence, living correctly. All right. Okay. This came up. John Paul sort of he did not come up with this idea fully, but he definitely did push this idea. Okay. He was a philosopher. He won the Nobel Prize. He believes that existence precedes essence, that we have no given nature. We become who we are through freedom of choice and moral responsibility. Existence precedes essence, meaning you can exist. That does not mean that your life has essence. All right. You're born and you're given a life, and so you are in existence. But if you don't do anything with that life, you will have no essence. Okay. We are born into existence that has no divine purpose. Life is often absurd or horrible, and the only true values are the ones that we create for ourselves. That's his idea. Okay. So let's talk about the waiter. I'm gonna move this so maybe my face is not. There it is. The waiter. So in the waiter is this idea of bad faith. Bad faith is when people are too terrified to face the freedom and responsibility of choice, and they revert to old existing norms and rules. Okay. It's like people who would rather just be in prison. They do not want to deal with life, so they choose just put me in a prison, and then I'm told when to get up, when what things I do each day. This is when I eat. This is when I work. This is when I go outside. All right, this is when I go inside, and I eat dinner again, and then this is lights out. Boom, good, done. I want to live passively. Okay, that's having bad faith, he says. Commitment, choosing and living in accord with the choice. So, like the waiter, this idea of the waiter is a symbol of performance being. All right, he uses the waiter as a negative metaphor. It's not something you want to be like. Okay, and his idea is the waiter does not exist in nature. All right, waiters do not. There shouldn't be an apostrophe there. That should just be waiters. Waiters do not exist in nature. All right, a woman does not have a baby and say, "Oh my God, I had a waiter." All right, no, she had a human. That's what she has. A person changing and acting in order to receive money or some other empty validation is not living a free life. Okay. Someone who is just going through the motions, who is imitating, someone who is just performing a role, they're not really living a free life. The types of waiter, like the idea of a man's man. Okay, man, I guess I'll hunt, and I guess I won't cry, and I guess I'll wear boots, and I'll watch Yellowstone. Okay, a man's man. I want to turn on football. Okay, which I'm not saying anything's wrong with any of those things. I'm individually, like I'm tired because I stayed up watching the football game. I was very happy when when the Falcons won and the dogs. Okay, so like I love football. Um, I watch Yellowstone. Okay, I don't hunt. All right, I do like to work out. So but I do those things because I enjoy those things, and there's nothing wrong with doing those things if you authentically enjoy those things. But the idea of is that if you do these, if a man does these things to be a man, to be an alpha man, because that's what men do, and then I put down men who don't do these things. All right, what? You don't eat meat? You're not a man. Okay, that's what I mean by that's a man waiter. A housewife. This idea that like this woman has to get her validation by being the best, most perfect housewife. Not because she wants to, but because she feels like that's like women's duty to. Okay, those are, feeling like, hey, because I'm a stay-at-home dad over the summer because I'm a teacher, so I'm home with the kids, and I really enjoy it. If I like teaching, but also it's nice to hang out, take care of the kids. It's a lot of work, I keep the house nice and I cook and all those kind of things and do groceries and stuff, But like if that is what someone enjoys, good, do it. But there's also this idea of this pressure that communities put on women to be the stay-at-home mom, to be the woman who goes and gets all the groceries and cooks for her spouse, and to be the classroom mom. And women often talk about the pressure that other women put on each other to do these things. Okay, and so if a person is being, if a woman is being the housewife because she feels pressured in doing it, but deep down she hates it, that's not a good thing. Okay, so maybe look at a churchgoer. There are people who have faith in their religion and they get comfort from their feelings of God and salvation and all those things. And then there are people who think that they're going to get into heaven over other people because of how much they go to church. And they think that they are better representations of humans on earth because they go to church. And they think that their religion is the best religion than anybody else's religion. And it's all fueled really by competition. That is false and problematic. Okay. Okay. So it's ultimately about, are you doing something and being a certain way because you authentically enjoy it, or are you just playing a role and just going through the motions that is expected of you to do? Okay. We're going to come to that later because we're going to talk about that with the adulterous woman. Okay. Which is written by this guy, Albert Camus. Look, I don't smoke. I don't support smoking. Okay, I think it's stupid, especially in today's age. I'm sorry if you're a smoker, but don't take it personally because I don't know who is a smoker. Okay, but I don't personally support the habit of smoking cigarettes. Okay, once every 3 years to get that nicotine high. Okay, but I say that just because this picture of Camus with the cigarette in his mouth and his coat turned up, and his hair slicked back. It's a pretty cool picture. Okay, it's a pretty cool picture. I'm not endorsing smoking, but this picture is pretty cool looking. All right, he does look pretty studly with the cigarette in his mouth. Just gonna say. All right, so Albert Camus. He writes existential and absurdist novels. He wrote The Stranger, The Plague, The Fall. He really loves titles with "the" in it. He coined the term absurd, which refers to the situation in which human beings demand that their lives should have significance in an indifferent universe, which itself totally without meaning or purpose. Okay. And he believed that we must respond to the absurd by refusing to give into the despair caused by the realization of life's meaninglessness. Instead, we must rebel against our cosmic circumstances by choosing to live life to the fullest. So, like, we should take our life seriously. Okay, not waste it. But we should not get all upset if we can't control everything, because you can't control anything, because that's an absurd idea of control. All right, you have to realize that you can't control anything. Okay, and that if something strikes you, like cancer, or someone in your life has died, or you get into a car crash and you stab your eye out by accident. Okay, that you should not become existentially depressed and full of disparity because this happens. Okay, because you weren't being punished. It had nothing to do with fate or anything like that, because the world's absurd. I mean, we have no control, and the universe doesn't care about you. So the mere fact that we survive every day, you should just be happy. Okay? Which, just for the record, he's not a really positive person. All of his books are kind of bleak, you know? So you would think maybe he's like toxically positive. He's like what's that TV show about the soccer player? He's too nice, okay? But he's not. He's not Mr. like funny guy. Like, oh, get over, okay? His stuff is dark and can be kind of like depressing. But that doesn't mean though that like you should be going through life depressed and feeling powerless. Okay. Kind of a paradox there. Okay. All right. And so he coined this idea of the myth of Sisyphus, which is essentially that the best way to rebel against the meaninglessness of life, okay, is to do it with a smile on your face, okay, and that you should have what's essentially principle rebellion, okay. To quote William Wallace, they may take our lives, but they won't ever take our freedom, okay, and that society is essentially a prison, and it wants you to be a waiter, and you have to enact principle rebellion and refuse to do anything that you don't want to do. That's not good for you. Okay, that's his ideas. And then this takes us to Simone de Beauvoir, who did not like Camus, but she was emotionally married to Sartre. They did not believe in monogamy or committed relationships. All right, those kind of things. Those are societal creations. But they did have very strong emotional connections to each other. So Sartre and Baudelaire and Beauvoir were very close. Okay, they're almost like best friends with benefits. All right, so she was a leading feminist and proponent of existentialism. She was a French philosopher. She was an essayist and a novelist. Her book, The Second Sex, is a 1,000-page book that discusses the treatment of women throughout history. All right. She believed in the products of socialized biology. And listen, we're talking about her because I'm going to give you a document full of her quotes. You're going to pick a quote, one of the quotes, and apply that quote to the story of an hour. Okay? So this directly relates to your assignment this week. She believed that male and female are facts of biology. Okay? Men have male reproductive parts. Females have female reproductive parts. But that the idea of the genders, men and women, were socially constructed. Okay, there's sex, which is body parts, it's biology, reproduction, and then there's gender, which is this idea of man and woman, and it's socially created. This is what men are supposed to be, and this is what women are supposed to be. But it is doubtlessly true that reproduction is very different from males and females, okay? The body itself means that men and women experience the world in different ways. She also said that, look, men might be less emotional than women biologically, and women might experience a wider range of emotions biologically, okay? Which means that maybe a woman might be more likely to cry, possibly, at a situation than a man. But the problem, though, is when socially we ascribe a rating to that. All right, a qualitative rating that like men's way of reacting is better than women's. That's the problem. She's not arguing that men and women are different. They are different. The problem, though, is when society says, yes, but this way of being is better than this way of being. This way of being will get you the ability to vote, to own property, to become leaders in your community, to be voted on, to become president. And these types of people who have these behaviors will not receive those things. That's a problem. When people's natural reactions, personalities are giving a rating in society, that's a problem. Okay. So, yes, biology sees that women are more empathetic, others, while men are more narcissistic. Okay. Yet the paradox is that women connect with others more easily than men, yet they desire a greater need for self than men. Okay. So like all these things are things that she sees that society limits women from self-discovery because of the narcissism of men. And so while men and women are seen equally, society does not allow each type of person to function fully. Okay. And for her, social conformity really is gender identity. Male dominant society argues that it is the normal that is to be striven for. You are healthy when you can function in society. Problem, though, is that men, for the longest, decided what was normal behavior for women. And so, she poses, okay, well, what if you simply choose not to be that way? Well, problem is, though, that this is presented to humans as being only the battleground of compulsions and prohibitions. Is that like society deemed women as being the homemakers, and as a way to force that is that, okay, well then they limited rights for women, types of jobs that women could have. They limited the women's ability to have checking accounts or to purchase property. Women could inherit property, but they couldn't purchase property. Okay, so when you start to feel that there is a qualitative difference between men and women, that males' behaviors are better than female behaviors, then that leads into restraints, and then that leads into laws, and then that further creates forms of oppression. Okay, and so Boulevard definitely has a problem with that. Okay, so there's that. Those are the three existential philosophers. All right, you're going to be using that information this week and next week when writing about Story of an Hour and writing about the adulterous woman. Okay. Now, in your assignment this week, you will be constructing paragraphs. You'll be writing your response. Your response should be like a paragraph. Okay. So in that, I'm going to go over how long your paragraph should be. Okay. Or how it at least should be written. So the idea of the paragraph is, if you master the paragraph, you master the essay. Okay. If you can write a really good long paragraph, then you can write an essay, because the essay is just made up of multiple paragraphs. And in a paragraph, there are three parts to that paragraph. There's a claim, there's a support, and there's analysis. The claim is the main idea that is being made in the paragraph. The claim is similar to a thesis of an essay, but the claim is just for the paragraph. Okay. It's the main idea that the writer wants their readers to understand and know. There is only one claim in a paragraph. The rest of the paragraph is just proving and convincing the audience that the claim being made is, in fact, legitimate and believable. 20% of the paragraph is the claim. Next, you have support, which is usually like quotes or references and summary. And you want to use just enough quotes and summary to support your claim and analysis. And this part shows what part of the text you are discussing, and it serves as evidence. 30% of your paragraph should be the support. then the last 50% of the paragraph is your explanation of your claim. This is where your paragraph wins or loses. Okay, you want to tell your reader how they need to understand the support. You know, some people will just say, I have a claim, here's some evidence. It's obvious. Obvious doesn't work. Your essay, your paragraph will win or lose based upon the analysis. Okay, a good analysis will convince people. A poorly written analysis, you don't know what it's going to do. Okay. Okay. So we're going to talk about an example is the theme of Mulan. So this is a paragraph about Mulan, the film. In the film Mulan, the theme is that women should be seen as equal and respected on the battlefield as much as men. In the movie, when Mulan's kingdom is threatened by the invasion of the Huns, the men are called to war. Mulan wants to serve too, but she's denied because of her gender. Therefore, she disguises herself as a male in order to fulfill her destiny to be a great warrior. Mulan is confident in her strength and courage as a warrior, but the male-dominated and sexist society that she lives in prohibits her from fighting, even though, by surviving and thriving in the war, she proves that women can be as equal or more so than men in war. Although the film doesn't explicitly show people being killed, because there are battles fought, it can be understood that people do in fact die in these battles, yet Mulan survives. And if it is understood that she is the only woman fighting in this war, then that means she, a woman, has been more dominant in battle than many other male soldiers. With her rising political power as being a princess, combined with the self-assurance in believing that women can handle battle, she will be a mighty influence in her kingdom at leveling the field of respect paid toward women in battle and society. Wow. So now let's look at how this is divided up, okay? So the claim of this paragraph is this. In the film Mulan, the theme is that women should be seen as equal and respected on the battlefield as much as men. And then we have some support. And then we have analysis. So it looks like this. This is the claim. This is the support. Mulan's kingdom is threatened by the invasion of the Huns. The men are called to war. Mulan wants to serve too, but she's denied. Okay, she disguises herself as a male. All that happens. You watch it. This is a fact. These are facts. This is interpretation. She's confident. All right. I mean, she never says I am confident, but we can interpret that she's confident. Okay. And we can interpret that she proves that she can be as equal to more so to men in war because of these things. All right. Even here it says, although the film doesn't explicitly show people being killed. All right, but because they are fought, we can assume this. That's again analysis. All right. So the majority of this paragraph is analysis. We have some support and we have a claim. That's how your paragraphs really should be organized and written. Okay, so that's the end of part one. I'm gonna stop it here. We've been 33 minutes in. I have some more stuff to talk about, but I'm gonna give you a break. And I'm going to record the rest of this tomorrow. Now, for you, some of you who will just go from this one to the next one, it'll seem like no time has passed for you. Okay. So let me know if you have any questions over this, and make sure you watch part 2 and part 3 lectures. Okay.